Hey there everyone, it's me Seeron, and we're back with another lesson of Macro Medology. Today we're going to be covering medicine and machine learning. So let's get into it with our friend Derrick.
You may have heard of the term AI or machine learning. After all, it may be the reason you clicked on this video. Machine learning is a subset of AI that has been the most recent form of popular application in healthcare AI because it allows computers to learn from data and improve their performance without being explicitly programmed. With AI, you can virtually do anything. It's like training a human being. But this all seems too good to be true. There must be some sort of flaws.
Yes, there are. In fact, there are plenty. But first, let's start off with the basics. Throughout the past 50 years of medicine, there have been many advancements in different ways. It all started centuries ago when medical tools were first created to make surgeries more efficient. Tools like syringes, scalpels, or artery forceps were all used in the past and have been improved in the future. However, machine learning in medicine is a pretty new concept. Introduced near the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, it was a pretty new concept that doctors were pretty interested in. So fast forward to today, we use a variety of more efficient tools, and some of the more prominent ones you may know are video-assisted surgery, ultrasound, and robotic surgical systems. But first, let's take a deeper dive into the past so we can learn more.
At this time, we didn't have much technologies. In fact, majority of the surgeries were performed by hand. But as technologies became more and more popular, certain doctors added certain tools to their offices. Using information from the Encyclopedia of Bioethics, we're able to find out that the idea of X-rays was first discovered in 1896. And in the early 1900s, the electrocardiograph was also discovered. These new technologies were not common amongst all hospitals and doctors' offices until the mid-1920s. The Encyclopedia of Bioethics also tells us that in the early 20th century, diagnostic technologies entered an area of development. The medical instruments were being extended, and the opinions of the physicians were being replaced by the sensing machines which could only be found in hospitals. Throughout the past 50 years of medicine, machine learning and technologies have been researched thoroughly, and the speed of development in that technology has been unbelievable. But what about today? What do we have today that helps in medicine? Let's go back to the future.
In the present day, medicine has been of great importance due to diseases like COVID-19, which have impacted many of our lives. These illnesses have caused humans to limit how much they can do. But what if we could prevent these illnesses? And what if we could prevent these illnesses before we were born? You might be a little confused, but let me explain. Gene therapy, according to Medline Plus, is defined as a medical approach that treats or prevents diseases by correcting the underlying genetic problem. This idea of gene therapy can be used to help humanity in unimaginable ways, like allowing babies to be stronger against certain diseases. Using machine learning and gene therapy, babies can be designed to be more resistant to certain illnesses, have certain appearances, and think in a certain way. According to CRISPR, a gene therapy company that uses machine learning, scientists are able to use this technology to understand and predict how a fetus will develop. It was the invention of this powerful tool, CRISPR, which is cheap and easy to deploy, that made the birth of humans who are genetically modified theoretically possible. Genetic testing begins on the fetus after 24 weeks of development to ensure the survival of the fetus. This technology will allow us to make body cells much stronger, and this could be the new form of antibiotics. This all seems fine and dandy, however, at the moment, there are tons of negative ethical implications.
For example, if a doctor uses a health AI model to determine a treatment plan, does the patient have a right to know that the AI was involved in the decision making? If so, what specific information should the patient be told? Or who is liable when AI is involved in patient care? And what about having biased training sets? Like, what if a model is trained based off of an imbalanced gender data and then tries to diagnose skin cancer for an unprecedented gender? Now, here's the big one. Insurance companies often offer plans on the bias of risk associated with the disease in question. When one sequences their genome, for example, they're able to tell which disease they're at high risk for. Insurance companies can monetize this information, as in they withhold or charge extra insurance from these high-risk individuals because they know that they will have a higher payout in the future. This is an ethical issue because individual health data is being monetized for the profit of the company, and also because these companies are discriminating against individuals because of their medical history. But here's the thing. If there's so many negative implications to this technology, then why are companies that solely use this technology being so heavily funded by world governing organizations? It's because they see the potential. Well, in the future, we're going to see so many technologies which we can only see in movies today. But like Forrest Gump once said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. As you may know by now, that various world-leading, multi-billion-dollar companies are also seizing this revolutionary moment in machine learning. Companies like Neuralink, Google's DeepMind project, and heavily funded startups like Subtle Medical are all working on interfacing with the human anatomy one way or another using artificial intelligence. To start things off, Elon Musk's startup company, Neuralink, to which he's invested billions of dollars in, is working on a way to understand the brain and interface with it so that it can benefit those with health disabilities. In fact, an example of what the company claims to do is enable people with paralysis to directly use neural activity to operate computers and mobile devices with the speed and ease. Next is Google's DeepMind project. This company is working on tapping into AI's potential to help in cancer diagnosis, predicting patient outcomes, averting blindness, and even more. In fact, it's already achieved some success in this goal. DeepMind's branch and Google's help has recently come up with an AI-based solution for identifying breast cancer. The algorithm even outperformed all human radiologists it was pitted against, on average, by 11.5%. And now time for our sponsor, Baymax, your personal health assistant.
Hey there, I'm Baymax, your personal care assistant. I'll perform surgeries and take care of you. Take care of you. Take care of you. If you're wondering about the ethical sides of this technology, don't worry because I got you. This information is based on the article, How has Technology Impacted the Medical Field? From Business Review. Firstly, I want everyone to understand that modern technology would likely be used in the fields of diagnosis, disease prevention, and possible treatments. An example of machine learning and medicine working together is machine learning and gene therapy. AI-assisted gene therapy would be used to prevent any possible diseases which are controlled by the brain. It is very controversial because some people believe that the concept of chips in our brains would make us cyborgs. Some find it fascinating, while others find it frightening. If a doctor uses health AI to determine a treatment plan, should a patient have the right to know that the AI was involved in the decision-making process? And if so, what specific information should the patient be told? It is very important to note that any AI involved in the decision-making process should be approved by the patient. Then if the healthcare AI is trained based on data relevant to the patient, they should understand that. But if not, they should also understand the risks. Procedures that are based on biased data, which may not be accurate, may put the patient in harm, which is why these ideas must be well researched. For example, the scenario could be a black patient's acral lentiginous melanoma, the most common type of melanoma in the individuals with darker skin. According to Villainous 2019, doctors were not aware that this patient had melanoma because the physician trusted a health AI cancer screening device that was primarily trained on white skin, and it did not find those carcinogens. This ethical side of technology can cause controversy, as doctors may not realize what a robot is trained on, but that is why this idea is still being discussed today. What? However, we must recognize that even if there are some ethical implications, technology in medicine is still very important. Technology is the future and could be the way that we prevent many medical errors. According to Eurostat data, 1.5 million people aged 75 and under died in the European Union in 2016. 1 million, or 66%, is the premature number of deaths that can be avoided. Some of these deaths can be avoided by the use of technology with our modern medical cabinet. Technology can be the difference between a fast, successful surgery or a slow, unsuccessful surgery. Technology will be the more efficient way of performing medical procedures. Technology is the way for the future.
Well, Seeron, I think that's enough for today's lesson on macro medology. It's clear that medicine and technology are a good combination. And so I think it's fair to say that we should keep on developing the technology from gene editing to telekinesis. But anyways, that's it for macro medology today. And just remember, keep searching in the science world.
There are some ethical implications. Technology in medicine is still...
I forgot. I tried to... At this... Okay, next.
However, we must recognize that even there are